That was not love. That was shared voicing information, guide tones, voice leading, and few simple moves. Most guitarists hear the word bebop and immediately think more scales, more patterns, more materials to memorize. And the more they memorize, the more lost they feel when the changes actually move. Today, I am going to show you 5 things inside the shared voicing that make complex bebop progressions feel obvious. Not easier to memorize, obvious. Like you can finally see the map. Hey, my name is Junwon Choi. If you already know me, thank you. And if you don't, that is completely fine. We are just getting started. I grew up in South Korea. Jazz was not around me when I was growing up. Everything I know about this music I learned at Berklee College of Music from my mentor, Richie Hart. I came to jazz as a total outsider, and that forced me to understand why everything worked, not just that it worked. That outsider's clarity is what I teach on this channel. Quick lens before we get into it. When I was a kid, I loved world history. Most people found it overwhelming. Too many names, too many dates, too many events to memorize. But to me, it was always a story. Once you understand the plot, everything connects. What came before leads naturally to what comes after. I teach bebop the same way. If you try to memorize everything, you drown. But if you learn the plot, the details become easy. Today, the plot is shared voicing. But first, what does shared voicing actually have to do with bebop? The bebop started with Charlie Parker. He already had his own sound, and every jazz musician was moving in the same direction. Faster harmony, more complex lines, more tension. And that created a challenge for pianists. They needed to find a better voicing that could support the bebop lines without getting in the way. Voicings that were lean enough to let the melody breathe, but strong enough to define the harmony. That search took a long time, but what we now call share voicing, what you are about to learn today, is the answer they arrived at. Especially, it is Bill Evans's A form and B form, the exact voicing that every jazz piano student learns in all 12 keys from day one. Every serious jazz pianist in the world has drilled these shapes across all 12 keys before they do anything else. On guitar, we almost never get taught this. And that is exactly why bebop progression feel impossible on guitar when they feel obvious to pianists. Today, that changes. Here is why bebop progression feel impossible to most players. They try to follow complex changes by memorizing scale blocks, or they rely on licks. And when the lick ends, the story ends. There is nothing underneath holding it together. But Charlie Parker, Wes Montgomery, just to name a few, they were not thinking in scale blocks. They were tracking function and the motion in the tune. And the fastest way to see that on guitar is share voicing. The share voicing is not just for comping, it is your navigation system for improvisation. So here we go. Hack number 1. Remove the root. Here is the truth. In a band, the bass already owns the root. When a guitarist holds on to it, the sound gets heavy and the fingers get stiff. You are doubling information that is already there. Shell voicing is essentially the third and the seventh. Those two notes already define the chord quality. Everything important about the chord is in those two notes. So, what I played in the beginning of this clip was All the Things You Are. My bad. So, all the things you are. But the chord goes over here. We don't really need to play these bass notes. Let me show you. Right? We can still hear the harmony clearly and the melody as well. So here the difference. Removing the root does not make the chord thinner. It makes it cleaner. It creates space, and the space gives you freedom. Did you notice that when I had to play with the root, my hands goes very busy down here and then down here with the melody, stretch out, right? But when I just decide not to play the roots, or I can play from here, this is actually Joe Pace played it, right? And then I can use this diminish over here to make my hands easy to grip that notes, melody notes with the chord sound. So that is what I called a freedom. Now, hack number 2. Fa-Mi resolution. Modern jazz harmony is built on one inner motion. The seventh of the 5 chords resolves down a half step into the third of the next 1 chord. Do not memorize that as theory. Visualize it inside the shell voicing. Find where Fa sits on the 5 chord. Watch it move to Mi on the 1 chord. That is happening on the 6th measure to the 7th measure. When the G7 wants to go to the C major 7, the melody right before that was from on the D flat major 7, we have F on the top, and then D minor 7, the melody, and then coming back to F, Pa, Mi, to the C major 7. You see that? D flat major, D minor 7, Pa, Mi. When that happens, is a G7. The band is playing G7. So this resolution, the 7th notes of the previous chords resolve to the next chord, the 3rd, is happening on this tune, the All the Things You Are, everywhere. 3rd, going to the another 3rd on the next chord, and then look here, 3rd on the B flat, 7th on the B flat, which is A flat note, to the 3rd of the E flat 7, and go go to the third of next chord, A flat major 7, and then seventh of the A flat major 7, go to the next third of the next chord. Third of the G7, seventh of the, and then next to the C major 7. So learn the shell voicing and hack number 2. In that guided tone movement, we can clearly see the fa to the mi, the cadence. That half step motion is the engine underneath every bebop progression. Once you can feel it inside the voicing, bebop stops sounding random. You are not chasing notes anymore. You are following a direction that was already there. And hack number 3, upper structure triads. Complex chord symbols scare people, but the sound is often just a triad on top. Here is the shortcut. On a minor 7th chord, look a minor 3rd above the root. There is a major triad sitting there. That one triad instantly gives you a color tension 9, the full upper structure sound without any chaos. So let me show you what really gives a benefit to thinking in upper structure. So we start from the F minor 7, right? F minor 7 from here, but not just F minor 7. If we put the add tension 9 and upper structure, it becomes A flat major 7, and the next chord B flat minor. On the upper structure we have D flat major 7, and then we have E flat 7, and then right E flat 7, and we have A flat major 7. So when we hit this A flat major 7, we are restarting the same sequence from the beginning. A flat major 7, A flat major 7, and then go to the D flat major 7, which was the second measure of first 8 bar of all the things you are was B flat minor 7. We had the D flat major 7 for the upper structure. So even I'm playing this chord change in my head, I'm just playing A flat major 7 from the top, connecting the third, A flat major 7 again, D flat major 7 again, and then I'm connecting the melody, the third and the third. I am not adding notes. I am reading the chord as a simple structure that was already inside it. So, shell voicing, rootless voicing the guide tone, and in that guide tone we found the voice leading, and after that we can expand it to the upper structure. It gives us to stay in the functional harmony. We don't really need 7 or 8 different chords to memorize it. There is a functionally same function chords happening, circling in their own way. We just need to hack that. So let's move to the hack number 4. Dominant means chromatic full. So stop asking what scale fits over a dominant chord. That question sends you into an endless list of options. Altered, Mixolydian, Lydian dominant, you name it, half-half. And by the time you pick one, the chord has already moved on. You missed the point already. Dominant function is tension that wants to resolve. And the cleanest way to express that tension is chromatic motion, half-step approach into the target. So, for example, over here, we have 2 dominant chords in first 8 measure. First one shows up over here, E flat 7, right? So on here, E flat 7, let's see. This to A flat major 7. So we have 2. 2 means this B flat minor. 2, 5. And then when it goes to 1, 2, 5, 1, we have all chromatic cadence. 2 to the 5, 5 to the 1. But look at this extra note over here, what he's doing. 2, 5, 1. So this second string note, this note moving. So 2 to the 5, it doesn't move, just stay there. And then 5 to the 1, it moves whole step. That is why we wanna make it in half step motion over here. So 2, when it goes to the 5, we want this second note to move half step. So that is the sound of the diminish. Over here, the G7, we also have so on this G7, this is a little bit different concept because we are changing the key center, but before we hit the C major 7 at the 7th measure, we really don't know where this G7 is belong to. So we can have the common tone for the tension in this G7, which is right before the D flat major, the A flat, and even D flat. Those are the key, the inside scale notes of the D flat when the D flat major is happening, right? So we can still use those notes even though we are going to the D minor 7 to the G7. We still could have those notes until we hit the C major 7. So the melody and tune already gives us the direction where we can go, where we should go. So in that structure, we can find our own chromatic motions. That is the dominant function. So the dominant is not more scale, it is controlled pull, one direction, one motion, one resolution. Hack number 5, the framework targeting. Actually, this I put it into the very last, but this is the most important one. The bebop lines only sound musical when the targets are clear. When every note feels equal, the line becomes noise. Fast, impressive noise, but those are all noise. There is no story because it doesn't give us where to go. We need a clear idea of where it is going. The master of that was Johann Sebastian Bach. That is why his music still rules, and every jazz musician study the Bach. So here is the mindset shift. Beat 1 is not where you start. Beat 1 is where you arrive. This exactly we can find it in Bach inventions. Look at where his line starts and where his line ends. He ends his line on beat 1, and right after the target hits the offbeat of the 1, the line starts. Check it out. Bach invention. So over here in this genre, the jazz and the guitar, even solo guitar or trio jazz guitar, if you guys want to play or comp yourself and play the clear idea, start from the melody target, and once you hit the target, rest a bit and play just the guide tone voicing. See. I combined everything I said in this 5 hack. Share voicing without root. Look at the target notes, the moving fa to the mi, and the upper structure triad. That I didn't even do it because that became more complex. But everything I connected, and it genuinely produced the solo guitar or trio guitar concept. Comp, and then line. Target, comp to the next. Start by playing only the landing points, one target per bar, usually the third. no feel, no decoration, just the framework. Once those targets are in your ear, everything else becomes vocabulary. West line, Django line, chromatic approach, whatever you want. But without the target underneath, vocabulary becomes just decoration on top of nothing. Targets first, and then vocabulary second. That is why the line never gets lost. Now listen again. Same progression, I am only doing 5 things. Rootless guide tones, far to the mi resolution, upper structure triads, West line or Django line, chromatic dominant pull, and the framework target on beat 1. One practice tip before we close. Do all this with the metronome on 2 and 4, not 1 and 3. 2 and 4 forces you to internalize time, like the hi-hat on the drum set. It makes even a simple guided tone line swing, and swinging on simple material is infinitely more useful than struggling on complex material with no time feel. But if you wanna, the 2-4 metronome on 2 and 4 is too hard, then just targeting the 1, listening to 1, where the 1 is, because you should know where the 1 is, because that is where the target is happening. So put it into 1, 2, 3, 4 and different click on the 1. That really gives you the where the click the target is. Here is the real takeaway. Bebop progressions are not mastered by memorizing more material. They are mastered by reading the plot. Share voicing is the plot. Remove the root and you get freedom. Follow fa mi and you get direction. Read the upper structure and you get color. Approach the dominant chromatically and you get pull. Target the framework and you get melody. These 5 hacks in one navigation tool. That is all you need to start making bebop feel logical inside of impossible. If this way of thinking is new to you, good. That means you have been working without the map. That changes today. On my website, voiceleadjazzguitar.com, I have 2 hours of free lessons called Essential Building Blocks. Share voicing, voice leading, West line and the Django line, and drop 2 voicings, scale form, triad cycle, all organized step by step with a free 28 pages of PDF file. Just register for a free account and it is all yours. Once you finish that, take the scorecard on my website. Then I will look at where you are and point you to the exact next step. If you want to see how all of this lives inside the real playing, actual lines, actual tunes, that is what Wes Insight is for. One course each of Wes Montgomery on Fly Me to the Moon, All the Things You Are, and Autumn Leaves, including an unreleased Autumn Leaves recording you will not find anywhere else. Please leave a comment, tell me one bebop progression you struggle with, and I will show you the share voicing map for it. If this video helped you, share it with one person who needs to hear this. Until next time, keep swinging.